this is also a buzzword in the field of entrepreneurship. So just give me a minute. I'll present my screen and we will straight away start with this.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
You said absolutely right, sir. There are various branches students which are available in today's session, right from electrical, electronics, and civil. And this buzzword of today, entrepreneurship, will be throwing light upon. And the most important word today is minimum viable product and lean startup. That is, when we are starting up anything, we have cash crunch. So how to manage within that cash crunch is the key and the buzzword of today. And many students might be having this question because mostly students do not have easy funding available.
Right.
So they may have great ideas, innovative ideas, but no funds to manage. So how to start up in a low cost manner? So thank you, sir, for giving your time and starting on this session. Thank you.
Thanks. So when my screen is visible, please acknowledge that.
Yes, it's visible, sir.
Thanks. Okay, so let's start with the session straight away. So as I
sir,
said,
sir, is it possible to you to share the presentation mode, because it is still showing not in a presentation mode?
Okay, wait a minute. So I am sharing my window, so I think that may be the problem. Should I share the entire screen? That's what you mean?
Yeah, that would be better, sir.
Okay, fine. So is it visible, sir?
Yes, it's visible, sir.
I hope it's okay now, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks for acknowledging. Okay, so before starting this today's session, I would like to say that before this we had like two sessions. One was on in general on entrepreneurship and business model, and the other one was related to business model canvas. So in today's session, we will be talking about a very important strategy, like which is very important in terms of answering to this fundamental question: how to start and where do I start? Okay. So as you can see the definition on my screen. So as this is a presentation, so I have believe me, I have included more visual things in this presentation than text. The reason for this was I didn't want to teach you the theory of lean startups and business model canvas, because I know talking about the theory of lean startup, it is a subject in itself, being taught in many universities. So we can go for the theory as well, but for this particular session I just want to come to the main point, and I just want to present the things visually so that you can relate. Otherwise it becomes very difficult to comprehend what I want to say. Or I mean, if you have a particular startup in your mind, some idea in your mind, or if you are already bootstrapping, if you're already in some stage of your startup, there may be multiple questions that cannot be answered, or you cannot correlate with this particular session, that why did you, or what did you learn from this session, and how can you apply things that you learned in this session to your particular idea or startup. So that's why I have included numerous examples according to my understanding, so that you can correlate with this session. And I hope at the end of this session you will appreciate that. So coming to the definition of this particular term, which is called lean startup. So
Excuse me, Karan sir.
yeah,
Your
yeah.
PPT is not visible to us.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
Praveen sir, is my PPT not visible?
Yes, sir. It is. I think your screen has hanged to the main screen only. Not PPT is not appearing.
Okay. So what should I do, Praveen sir? I can share in the window mode only, because I think
Yes.
sometimes it
Yes.
becomes a problem. Yeah, due to connection problem.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience, guys.
Yeah, no problem. In the meanwhile, I welcome HOD Electronics Department, Ashok Kumar sir, for being part of this session. And also welcome Hanuman sir, HOD Electrical Department. And Devangan sir, Arvind Devangan sir, who is HOD Civil Department, for joining the session. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining. So, sir, you can just enlarge it, enlarge the screen. Yes, that is fine.
Okay. So I was talking about the very definition of lean startups. So it basically teaches you how to think, and then once you have idea in your mind, and then you want to convert it into a product or service, and then how to steer. I mean, once you have product at hand, how do you enter the market? How do you pitch it to the customers? How do you find the channels through which you will reach your customers? And then you receive certain feedback or certain learnings when you launch your startup, and then you make a decision whether to persevere or to grow your business with maximum acceleration. So I'll come to this definition. You will understand this very definition once I go through the upcoming slides. So this particular picture represents the whole gist of this particular session, the lean startups. So you have to understand this mantra. This is basically build, measure, and learn. So what basically these three terms mean. So I want to just explain a bit on it. So for example, we know that majority of the startups fail. So according to certain reports and survey, they say that majority of the startups fail. So the fundamental question is, why do they fail? So it happens with almost everyone. Believe me, it has happened to me also. So I am speaking with my experience, as well as what is being presented by many mentors, or which is research based, experimentation based study. So the thing is that once we have some idea in our mind, we believe that it can be converted into a product or service, and then this service can be sold to prospective customers. We don't know who these customers are. We don't know whether this product or service is useful for customers or not. And the more fundamental question, that whether customers or prospective customers want this product service or not. This is our gut feeling. This is our human instinct, that we believe, okay, this is the service and it looks amazing. It has come to my mind. If it can serve my need, then it can serve anybody else's need. This is the most basic assumption on which most of the startups are launched. And the next biggest mistake that happens is sometimes startups keep on working on the project. They keep on improving, keep on adding features. I have seen numerous people, even in Jammu, I have seen many people who have like amazing softwares, amazing apps, websites, but they are yet to launch it, because they believe that they already have some competitors in the market, or they believe that they want to add some more features into it and then launch. So there are so many assumptions. But the thing is that you have taken this assumption in your mind, and then you are investing your time, your resources on keeping on building that product. And then once you are ready to enter into the market, or for example, if you have entered into the market, you suddenly come across a major shock that you are not getting that kind of traction that you expected. You didn't get the response from the market as you expected. And ultimately the startup fails, because if you're not able to garner the customers, you're not able to generate the revenue or say traction in the initial stages, it is going to be very difficult to sustain that particular business model. So why this happens? This happens because when you were planning your product or when you were planning your service, you were keeping on adding new features, you were keeping on improving it. You spent a lot of time. For example, in some cases I've seen it's like months, ranging from months to years. And then when they come to the market, they suddenly meet so the the fantasy meets the reality, and then it becomes dust. This happens because you never took the feedback of the prospective customer for which this product was being made. This is the basic philosophy behind lean startups. So you have to follow this cycle. So the basic idea of lean startup is to accelerate product development. Okay, so the first thing is build. So once you have idea in your mind, just build it in some form. Even though you may not be clear whether you want to uh, present your product or service in way X or way Y, whatever comes to your mind, go with your gut feeling, just present it, and then launch it into the market. Okay, after making the MVP, launch it into the market, then measure. How do you measure? For example, you may interact with the customers. Okay, give customers your product or service, take the feedback, and then incorporate that feedback again into your product or service or the next iteration of the product that you launch again. Okay, so the basic idea behind this lean startup is uh, fail early, fail cheap. So this is very important term. So you cannot avoid failures in startup. This is very important point that you need to keep in mind. It's not going to happen 99% of the times. You're going to get into the market, you will have many unexpected things that you will face that you never even thought of. You never even even in your worst dreams, you never thought that this is going to happen or this is one of the possibility. So the field of entrepreneurship, the field of innovation, startup is full of shocks. So you better be ready for it. But the thing is that you need to embrace that I am going to meet these shocks and failures. So the basic science behind lean startups is, okay, I'm ready to fail, but I won't fail after spending 2 years on working on a project. So I would rather spend 1 or 2 months working on my idea. I will launch it into the market in its crudest form. Then I'll see how customers react. So I hope you understood the philosophy. Involving the customer early in the planning is the basic soul of lean startups. This is how the cycle goes. So our major objective is to accelerate the plan of making the MVP and improving it in consecutive iterations. Okay, now we come to the principles of lean startup. So even this is part of the theory, but I would like to give insights of what these principles are. So one of the principles says entrepreneurs are everywhere. So it means that you don't need to work in a garage to be an entrepreneur. So everybody can be an entrepreneur. It's not like I am entrepreneur or you cannot be entrepreneur or somebody else cannot be. So the moment you decide, okay, this is the kind of service I think can be offered to people, or this is the kind of product that can be launched in the market and can make considerable amount of money or can be turned into a business. So what happens is these entrepreneurs are everywhere. This particular sentence means that anybody can be entrepreneur. So the moment you think and you're willing to take risk, anybody can be called entrepreneur. The next thing is entrepreneurship is management. So this is also very important. For example, I've met a few friends of mine who are very good in programming and coding, and they believe that if they're good in coding, so they should do coding. Of course, they should, because it will save a lot of money for them. But even if you are not a coder, please give me a second. Sorry for the disturbance. Okay. So I was talking about management. So for example, even if you're from not from a coding background, I was giving example of a tech startup. Even if you're not from a coding background, what you can do is you can hire someone and you can maybe you can outsource the website part or the app part, or maybe you then the next question that may come into your mind is like you don't have money to hire someone and then pay for him. Okay, so one more example I would like to give you is nowadays we have Google websites, right? Sites.google.com. You can go onto this website. You have Google Forms, okay, which is absolutely free. You can create a form. You can create Google websites, or there are many websites or portals which are offering free web spaces. Okay, you can create. So all we want to do is create a web space, create an online presence, so that we can give link to the customers and onboard them and let them know that we are offering some service. Okay, so this is one important part that you should keep in your mind, that your website does not need to be very beautiful, very you can say in terms of aesthetics, it should not be the world class website. So it can be a simple website made out of Google, or it can be a simple Google form if you want to take feedback from the customer, create a service request. So this is what this particular sentence means. Entrepreneurship is management. You have to manage. Okay, so this is basically a science. You have to manage, and then using minimum available resources, you have to onboard the customer so that they can use your service in whatever way possible. Okay, so without involving them, if you are thinking of making a website, first of all, you are thinking I'll earn some money, and then when I have like 50,000-60,000 rupees, I will hire some developer and then I'll pay him 20,000 rupees. He will make app for me. So it is going to take like 1.5 years, and then by then somebody else would have launched your idea, or he may have captured considerable part of the market. So that is what it means. So you should always avoid this kind of mistake. Okay, the next thing is validated learning. So as I said, fail early and fail cheap. So validated learning means once you launch your minimum viable product into the market, you take the feedback from the customers and then try to incorporate that feedback into your product. And then you need to make very important decisions, like there is a term called as pivot. I'll come to this particular term pivot, what pivot is. So pivot is, for example, you might have heard the term center of gravity or center of mass in physics in your 11th, 12th class. So basically this is a central point which is balance of all the forces. So even in this case, this pivot point is basically a central point which decides the fate of your startup. So for example, if you believe based on your feedback that the idea you thought is not working, the customer segment that you were targeting was not right, the channel you are using is not the right channel, you have to make some strategic business architecture change decisions. For example, you may have to think of scrapping your product altogether. If you're getting this kind of feedback that the customers don't care about your product or service, that means the idea that you were thinking is $1 billion idea is basically not $1 billion idea. It is not even a $0 idea. You need to scrap it. So accepting this kind of thing is very important. I mean, you may have to make changes into your product, or you may have to scrap it altogether. So this is very important. You need to learn in the early stages. Okay. And the next thing is build, measure, and learn. This is very important loop, as I said in the lean startup terminology, that you have the idea in mind. Don't keep on making fantasies and thinking that, okay, I'll add this feature. You started with an idea, you have this idea in mind, just go on the drawing board, just draw a picture what you want to offer or what you want to build, convert your idea into product as early as possible, and then try to convert it into MVP as early as possible. So this is possible only through this build, measure, and learn cycle. And one important part of this build, measure, learn loop is that you are able to accelerate your product development cycle. Okay, so it's not like you are building your final product. You are never sure what the final product is. You are never sure what the right kind of product is. You keep on iterating, you keep on taking the feedback, you keep on improving with every cycle. Okay, this is what this build, measure, learn cycle is. And that's then the next thing is innovative accounting. So this is a standard practice, I think, that every entrepreneur or startup should keep in mind. So innovative accounting means that you need to keep yourself accountable for the things. For example, you need to have the clear idea of uh, what are the areas where you need to focus right now at present. No matter in which stage you are, you must have clear understanding that where you need to focus. The second thing is, what are the features that you need to include and which are the features that you need to keep out. Okay, and making the milestones. This is also one of the very important, I would say, practices, that in the next coming 15 days, what are you going to plan? Which version of the product are you going to launch? Which features are you going to include? Which customer segment are you going to target? And by when? So these milestones are very important. And then prioritizing your work. So for example, you have advertisement, you have salary payments, you have hiring. So which are the works which can be outsourced and which are the works which you should focus personally right now, which is the highest priority work. So you need to prioritize your work. It's very important. So if you don't balance out these things, it is going to become very messy and discouraging for you, because at times it can be very exciting journey, but at times it can be very frustrating also if you're not getting right results. And that happened precisely because you are not following the right approach. Okay, the next thing is, I'm presenting the same thing which I spoke for last 3 slides in the form of a flow chart. So for example, as I spoke, you have idea in your mind. What is the basic assumption behind the idea? So what was the presumption? On what basis? On what problem are you trying to solve? What is the pain point? So that is what hypothesis is. And then you convert your hypothesis into a minimum viable product. I'll come to it, what MVP is. And then what experiment means is, you take your MVP, throw it to the customers and see what happens, how your customers or prospective customers behave. You take the feedback and then you decide whether you want to pivot or you want to continue. If you think that this is working, you should continue, add additional features, offer another version, then take feedback, add additional features, again offer. Okay, again, then keep on repeating this cycle. At any point, if you feel that okay, this is not something customers want, and you get this by validating your hypothesis that this is not working, so you should pivot. Pivot means it can be change in your business model, it can be change in your product or service, or it can be scrapping your product altogether. So you're not working on the right idea. This is what pivot means. So there are certain types of pivots. I thought that although I could have skipped this slide, but at the end I did it just 10 minutes before this session, because I believe that you need to understand what pivot. So there are certain types, although there are like 13-14 types, but I guess the major types are like these 5-6 types, and the rest of the types are in one way or the other the subtypes of these pivot types. The first one is zoom in pivot. So what zoom in pivot means? It means, for example, you offered one feature of the product, and that feature is giving you very encouraging feedback. That means if there are 10 features in the product, but one feature is accounting for 80% of your customers. So what do you mean by that? You mean that is telling you that you can offer that particular feature as a whole product. Okay, so you can separate that feature, it can become a standalone product, and you can offer that because your product is attracting customers, 80% customers, based on one particular feature, and that feature is playing very important role in your product. So you can make it a standalone product. So the second type is zoom out pivot. So zoom out pivot is quite opposite of it. It means that, for example, you made a product, or you made a sub product, or you made another product. So the thing is that you are getting some feedback, and it proves that it is only attracting like 10, 20, or 30% of the customers. That means that although there is market of that product, but it is very sizable market. I mean, it is very small. So instead of offering it as a whole product, it can be offered as a service. It can be offered as a small feature. Okay, so that is how you need to figure out. The next thing is customer segment pivot. So you targeted one particular customer segment, for example, female in the age of 20 to 30, for example, men in the age of 40 to 60. So you are projecting your product or service to one particular customer segment, but that particular customer segment is not responding to your product. So maybe you are targeting the wrong customer segment. This is the time to take feedback from the customer and then make decision to change the customer segment. So maybe your product is a better fit in the age group of maybe men in the age group of 20 to 30 or 30 to 35. I'm just giving an example. And then next thing is customer need pivot. So as the name suggests, the customer need pivot means that the feature or the product that you are offering may not be valuable for the customer, and they may communicate a different kind of need. Okay, they may communicate. So they may say that, okay, I want this product, but I want this in this way. So the need is varying. So at that point also you need to make a pivot decision and incorporate that particular feature. The next thing is platform. So as I was saying, that whether you are approaching your customer through the website or app, or maybe, for example, through some other channel, through some Instagram page or a Facebook page or a Twitter account, or so whatever channel you are using to target your customers, if the feedback shows you that this platform is not right, so you need to make a decision. So for example, if you're using an Instagram page, but the customer feedback is telling you that you need to shift onto a website or app, I think it's better to make that decision early in the product development. The last thing is business architecture pivots. So these kind of pivots are basically more of they are more oriented towards the sales, the finances. So for example, some people may decide to sell less and make more profit. On the other hand, some people may decide to sell more with less margin. So this is a business architecture decision, and it you automatically understand it when you get into the market, whether your customer want to pay less for the service or product you're offering or not. So if they are willing to pay less for it, that means you need to increase your sales so that the sales goes in bulks, and even though the margin is less, but the amount or the quantity, the scale of the service is quite huge. So ultimately you you can make profit out of that. You can turn it into a viable business model. Then comes certain things like there are certain points that we need to understand, that why do we use lean startups. So some of the points are like eliminate uncertainty. So some of the people believe that even if you're not clear about the idea that what you want to offer to the market. For example, I may be passionate about entrepreneurship, but I don't know what I want to do. I have no idea. So this approach can even tell you what the customer wants, what is the right product, what is the right offering, what is the right fit. So this is such a versatile, such a great approach that you can use you can even use this approach to determine whether which product you want. So even if you're not clear about the idea, or maybe clear about the service that you want to offer to the customers, you can use this approach to determine that also. The next point is work smarter and not harder. So what this means to say is similar to what I said earlier, that what you need to do is you need to manage. So for example, you don't need to wait for an app to be in place, or you don't need to have a website hosted on a very good platform on cloud or something. So you can straight away use some free platform or free service to do it. So if you have some amount of money, or you want to hire someone, so it is very important to outsource as many things as you can, so that you can focus on the innovation itself. And the next thing is develop an MVP. So rather than focusing on making a final product which will never be a reality, okay, except for 1% cases, you may be lucky in that case, but most of the times it is not going to be like you are going to build a one perfect product for 1 year and then you're going to launch it and it is going to give you maximum returns. No, you take it for granted that this is not going to happen. So instead you make an MVP, get into the market, take feedback from the customer, incorporate it into the product, and then improve iteratively, rather than waiting for a whole year to make the perfect product, which is not the reality. And then validated learning, as I said, that the main idea behind this is to accelerate the product building cycle. Okay, so what the right product is. So figuring out this particular question is, it may seem like a very simple question, like what is the right product that customer wants. It is when you get into the market, when you get onto the field, this is going to be a nightmare to figure out what is the right product. Okay, now this is the first part about lean startup. Now I'm going to come to the next important term which is included in this particular session. This is minimum viable product. So I have included this visual representation of what minimum viable product is. So you can see that over if you look at this particular diagram, we can understand that our problem is to give a source of light, okay, to light a room or to light whatever we want to say. So a candle is a most rudimentary, or most crude form of the product that you can offer, which is very cheap. And customer may say, okay, but there are certain problems, it sheds some wax or it gets consumed very easily. Or now you bring in more innovation, take this feedback, convert it into some more viable product, and it becomes a lamp which runs on kerosene oil and lasts longer, has a glass around it, more safe. Okay, and then have more innovation in it, and then you come with a bulb which runs for quite long, has so many advantages over candle and lamp. So this is how it goes. You don't need to build, keep thinking about a bulb and you wait for the bulb to become a reality and then come into the market. Okay, I hope you got the idea what minimum viable product is. It is somewhere between, if minimum and viable but were two sets, so minimum viable product is basically the intersection of these two. Okay, this is what you have to understand. So so to sum up this session, I have brought in a case study of Airbnb. If you have heard of this startup, it's not a startup anymore, so it has become a $1 billion company now. So Airbnb started with a very fundamental, very simple idea. So they were like, as this picture predicts, there were two guys like Joe and Brian, and it says that they can't pay rent. So this is a problem statement for them. So this is not something that I'm saying. This is the problem statement that they early in the stage of this company they thought of. So they think to rent out 3 air mattresses on the floor to the people and then serve breakfast. So this is what they came up with. So they said that they will rent out the mattresses and then they will offer breakfast also along with that. So they make a simple website, a blog website with maps. Okay, the name was airbreadbreakfast.com. So this was the early name of the website, and luckily they got their early customers very early in this journey. So there were 2 men and 1 woman. They showed up paying $80 each to these people. Okay, so now they have their early customers. So after the guests left, they thought this could be a big idea. If 3 people can pay $80 for this, so we can turn it into a better version of the product or service. So they invited a former roommate as a co-founder to build the site. So now they say that now that we have customers, let's build a better website. So we will hire someone. So this is what I was referring to. Just make connections, make good networks, and if you're not a developer yourself, or if you're not someone who has that kind of skill, just bring in those people in your team who share the same vision, or they have right kind of skills to help you make the product or service that you want. So they hired their co-founder, basically not hired, they just invited him to be part of their company and invited him that you make a website for us so that we can enhance our service. Then they launched this thing at SXSW. I don't know what this is. So they got 2 bookings. So this could be, I guess, some place or something. So they launched it there and they got 2 bookings. So this was very encouraging for them. Next, no, so the Brian is one of the friend he's discussing. I hope it's not the only idea you're working on. So what they thought of, they thought of adding more things to it. Now they told that let's make some more money. So before the election in US presidential election, when President Barack Obama became the president of United States, they thought of selling a few things which are basically sold at the times of elections. So they sold some things, so maybe some hats or some posters, banners, and then they made like $30,000 out of it. Okay, then they got $20,000 in the first funding from Paul Graham. He's the guy from Y Combinator, and then for the first week they were making $200 out of this service. Okay, now this sale was basically limited for first 2-3 weeks, and they were not able to figure out why this is stuck at $200. So what we need to change. So then later they figured out that the photos of the places that they were using on their website were not good. So this was resulting in low customer turnout. So this is how they figured out based on the, so this is what I was referring to, take the feedback from the customer and then pivot. So this is how they did the pivot. They went door to door in New York City and then took the good quality photos and then uploaded that to their website. Then they started improving. They made $400 a week, and this was the clear sign of their growth. Okay, and then they approached a famous venture capitalist in New York, and they pitched their idea, but he said that he's not interested in this idea. He doesn't think that this can be scaled and become a viable business. So there was a famous singer. He was basically a drummer and a singer. So he rented his entire house to them. Okay, and then again they raised 600,000 seed funding from one of the firms. Okay, in 2010-11, and then they raised $7.2 million, then $12 million, and then many investors kept coming in, like Ashton Kutcher and many other people. So the rest is history. Now in 2014, the valuation of this company was $10 billion. So you can see this picture and it should give you a clear understanding of how they started and where they ended up. So what are the course corrections they made? What are the things that they thought should be corrected? So the basic title of this is how 3 guys went from renting an air mattress to a $10 billion company. So if you follow that right kind of approach, keep making course correction, keep taking feedback, keep incorporating, keep improving. So these are clear signs that you are going in the right direction. You don't need a mentor for this. Okay, so why do they say nowadays that you need a mentor? Because what happens is if you are not following the right path, so you are sometimes your gut feeling is quite dominant on you, and you feel that okay, I'm feeling this, okay, let's do it, and then I'll understand. So in this process you keep wasting a lot of time. So rather than that, you should approach someone who has already done this and who already knows the market, and he knows that okay, this is the thing that I did wrong, so you should not repeat it. Rather than this, do this so that you can succeed. So he can quickly point out where you're going wrong. So that's why we say that we should always have some mentor. Okay, so what is this minimum viable product? What do we take out of it? So in the first pyramid, it shows that your the basic version is functional, then you want to make it reliable, then you want to make it usable, then you want to improve the aesthetics, you want to work on the UI presentation, and then you want to work on the design. So in the first pyramid, it is showing that you want to go step by step. First of all, you're making it functional, you're making it reliable, and then you will make it usable, and it is going to take 2 years, which is a very wrong approach. Rather than that, what you have to do is make your product functional in some part, make your product reliable in some sense, make it usable in some sense, make some aesthetics good. So it may not be the perfect website or perfect product, so it has some aesthetics, like it is seeable, not that ugly. and some elements of design. So if you take some portion of all these ladders, all these stages of pyramid into your product, if you can incorporate some part of it in your product, that means you're following the right approach, and that is how you come to your minimum viable product. So I hope whatever slides I presented to you made sense to you. You could relate it to your idea or presentation, or you could understand that where you're going wrong by now. So if you have any questions, you can raise it. I'm ready to answer the questions, and over to you, Praveen sir.
Wonderful, sir. I'm just thinking like you have engrossed an audience, like people were trying to get into this session. We had a limit of 100 people, but it was becoming so difficult to join the session at times. Thank you for conducting such an engaging session. No, I wish that most of the students have questions, and in case we are able to take a couple of questions, considering the time limit of 1 hour, and rest of the questions we can take it up in an offline manner. So I request students to start putting their questions in the chat section, and I will share these questions with the speaker, and the answers would be given. Yes, students, please continue. Start putting messages or in the form of your questions in the chat section.
So we are waiting for your questions in the chat window. Please type in quickly so that we can take few questions and then we can answer them. If anybody wants to turn on their microphone and then directly ask me the question, that is also fine. Whatever is convenient for you, you can do that. Thanks a lot, Karan sir. Thanks, Rajinder sir. Thanks for coordinating. So we would like to encourage students, if anybody is having any entrepreneurial idea or any plan of launching a startup or starting their own company, you can straight away put your question or say what you have in your mind.
Yes, Abhishek has some question. Abhishek, please unmute.
Yeah, Abhishek.
He has raised his hand. Please
Okay.
unmute.
Sharan Ajaz has also. Okay, Abhishek has. Okay. Okay, we will wait like 1 more minute. So you have 1 more minute to put your questions in the chat window.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
There is a question which has come from Zahid Akbar Malik. Minimum viable product. What is MVP and why is it important?
Okay. So as I said that if you keep following that particular pyramid that I showed you, that for example you want to build an app for dating, say for example, just like Tinder or some other app. So what is the architecture, or what is the app, what is the kind of interaction that you want two users to have? So if you have this kind of approach, okay, I want to add this feature, I want to have these swaps, or I want to have this kind of feature. So this process is going to be very long if you keep on thinking about features and you want to keep building the features of the product, but you never want to interact with the customers. So the minimum viable product is basically the bare minimum usable app that you can build. So very simple app which has the chatting feature, or which has the feature of making a match. Okay, if your product has these two features, I think you are good to go. No need to wait for other features, like there can be so many features. But minimum viable product is basically a feature or service which can be launched in the market, can be used by the customer, but it does not have all the features. So that customer will tell you based on their feedback what is the thing that is wrong, what is the thing that is right, what is the thing that they liked about your product. So that's why we have so many reviews. So these reviews are very important in your journey of making the right product, making the right features. I hope that answered your query, Zahid. Any other question? So just keep one thing in mind: fail early, fail cheap. This is very important terminology. Even if you were to fail in a startup, you should fail early and fail cheap. Why wait for 2 years and then fail? By then you must have used so many resources and so much amount of money. So it's going to be very expensive if you fail later in your startup. So that is the gist of MVP. Okay, so I think Praveen sir, I think nobody else has any question. Feels
Yes.
like everybody understood the things very well.
Yes, I agree. Either they have understood everything or they have not understood anything. So
Yeah.
it could be either one thing. So
Yeah.
nothing to worry. We are going to be in a consistent effort to encourage students. And every time we had been so consistent in our efforts. And I especially thank Karan Khajuria sir for being consistent in offering these kind of sessions. Just a couple of days ago, we were talking on this topic, and he could capture such a beautiful presentation and share with our prestigious students. So I look up to all these students to come out with queries who have not spoken or shared yet, and share it with us over email, and we are more than happy to resolve. Especially Karan sir is very happy to resolve queries.
Yeah, sure. Anytime. I
Yeah.
will be privileged to do so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thank the respective HODs for encouraging such a good numbers in participation from the students as well as faculty. I thank all the faculty for attending this session and giving such beautiful remarks in the message section for Karan sir and the session. And I thank all the students for attending this session so beautifully, and that it was difficult to get into the session. So all the time the session attendance was more than 100 or 101 at least. So it was a great participation, I must say. I thank one and all, and thank you for participating and making this session a success.
Okay. So one more thing that I would like to add, that at the end of this session, I'll be sending an email to Praveen sir. So I'll be sharing a template which you can use an exercise to fill out. So there are like certain sections in it. It is a self-explanatory template, just like business model canvas. It is called Lean Startup Canvas. So you can use it, practice it, and if you have any queries, you can.
Great. That is one of the very great things. I must thank you, sir, on this. With that, we formally close the session. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Praveen sir.
Thank you.